Okay, so I'm going to share this screen. We'll try again one more time. Speaker view and share screen. Let's see. Okay, so nobody knows how I can get rid of the pictures on my screen, huh?
We can see the Veda-based page, Prabhuji.
No, I know you can see it. My point is, on my screen, I see a bunch of pictures, like you, for example, Purnchandra Mataji, and myself right now on the right-hand side, which hides my screen.
Prabhuji, on that you can there is on the top of the screen where you see the pictures.
Oh, I got it. Sorry.
Yeah, there is a.
I got it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that will help me a lot. Okay. So we'll start with what's on your screen. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1.90. अज्ञान तमेर नाम कहिए कहतव धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष वांछा आदि सब. The darkness of ignorance is called kaitava, the way of cheating, which begins with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. So when we talk about the four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, that is actually kaitava, which means cheating, or it means darkness of ignorance. In other words, those of us who are going after those four things are cheating ourselves, and we are in mode of ignorance or darkness of ignorance. Okay, we'll go to the next one. That's 91. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 2. Dharma projita kaitava atra paramo nimatsanam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam taputayon unmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va parer Ishwaraha Sadhyo Hridya Avruddho Deh Atra Katibhi Shushubhi Tatchanat. Translation. The great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vasudev from 4 original verses, describes, actually I should put that on the screen, I forgot. Here you go. Describe the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there's no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. So you may recall, I don't remember how long ago, but some time ago, we were talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, and we said, if all the books, all the scriptures are for some reason somehow burnt, you're okay as long as you're Srimad Bhagavatam, because it has the essence of all the other scriptures. And then, of course, it says that if for some reason even Srimad Bhagavatam is burnt, then as long as you have Chaitanya Charitamrita, you're fine, because that has all the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam and more. So he is basically saying that Srimad Bhagavatam is not for anybody, just anybody. Rather, it is for devotees, basically saying pure devotees. And it completely rejects anything that has anything with cheating other people in the name of religion or otherwise. And it talks about the highest religion. What is the highest religion? Loving Krishna. And that highest religion can actually mitigate the threefold miseries. The religiosity that we talked about in 4 Purusharthas is really karmakanda, fruitive activities that does not get you out of the material world. It promotes you to higher planets, like the planets of the demigods, for example, but does not get you out of the material world. And therefore, it does not get rid of the threefold miseries of Adidhavik, Adibhautik, and Adhyatmic, which is the miseries caused by demigods, miseries caused by our own mind and body, and miseries caused by other living entities. It does not get rid of, nor does it get rid of the problem of body, which means B means birth, O means old age, D means disease, and Y means Yamaraj or death. So, the simple way to capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts is to willingly hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service. Two words are very key here, which one is the submissive attitude, which we all know that if you don't hear something with submissive attitude, that Vidhi Pradipata and a Parpushan Sevya, nothing happens. And we have to be willing to hear the message, means actually focus, actually relish the message, rather than say, I got a quota of 15 pages every day, so I got to finish it because I got other things to do. So it's not that. And if you do all that, like we said before, there's no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, let's go to the purport. Does somebody want to read the first paragraph?
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2. The words Maha Muni Krita indicate that Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, who is sometimes known as Narayan Mahamuni because he is an incarnation of Narayan. Vyasadeva, therefore, is not an ordinary man, but is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He compiled the beautiful Bhagavatam to narrate some of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees.
Yeah, thank you. So we all know he's a literally incarnation of Krishna or Narayan. And he was inspired by his guru Narad Muni to write about the pure devotional service and the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And that is your Srimad Bhagavatam. He's an empowered incarnation of Krishna. I forgot to mention that. Okay. All right. Next paragraph.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Please do.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a distinction between real religion and pretentious religion has been clearly made. According to this original and genuine commentation on the Vedanta Sutra, there are numerous pretentious faiths that pass as religion, but neglect the real essence of religion. The real religion of a living being is his natural, inborn quality, whereas pretentious religion is a form of nascence that artificially covers a living entity's pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. Real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates from the mental plane. A living being can awaken this dormant religion by hearing with a pure heart.
Right. So once again, what is the dormant religion? That's the love in our heart for Krishna. Religion doesn't mean like the names given to Hindu religion, Christian religion, Jewish religion. That's not what religion means. Religion really means dharma, which means our intrinsic nature. And our intrinsic nature, which is the real religion, that is to love Krishna or to serve Krishna in a loving mood. And studying Srimad Bhagavatam or hearing it from a pure heart and from a pure devotee rekindles that dormant love in our heart, or in other words, you could say, awaken the dormant religion, which is the love of Krishna in our heart. Okay, next paragraph, please. Nobody wants to next paragraph?
I
can read, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
The path of religion prescribed by Srimad Bhagavatam is different from all forms of imperfect religiosity. Religion can be considered in the following three divisions. First, the path of fruitative work. Second, the path of knowledge and mystic powers. And the third, the path of worship and devotional service.
Right. So in different words, the path of fruitive work is the karma kandas. The path of knowledge and mystic yoga is the Gyan Yoga and Dhyan Yoga. And the path of worship is Bhakti Yoga. Usha, do you have a hand raised? Your question?
Hari
Usha?
Bol Prabhu. For the reading, I just raised my hand.
Okay. Next paragraph. Somebody wants to read?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, please.
The path of fruitive work, karma kand, even when decorated by religious ceremonies meant to elevate one's mental condition, is a cheating process because it is never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. A living entity perpetually struggle hard to rid himself from the pangs of material existence, but the path of fruitive work lead him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities lead him to be distressful position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in any way become free from the pangs of birth, death, and old age and disease. The materially happy person is therefore in need of eternal relief that mundane religiosity in terms of fruitive work can never award.
Right. So it's very simple. Our real goal is to get out of this material world because full of miseries. And anything that ensures our entanglement in the material world in the name of so-called happiness is cheating us. So karma kanda, the fruitive activities, they ensure that we accumulate karmas and therefore keep coming back to this material world, regardless of how materially happy in a temporary sense we can become. It's still a problem. It's still cheating us because keeping us away from the real result, which is a real happiness, real thing, which is getting out of this material world. So karma kanda activities will never get us out of here, keep us entangled, and therefore cheating us in the name of temporary happiness. Next paragraph, please.
Can I read it? Continue there.
Let somebody else do it.
Okay.
Okay, can I read, Prabhu?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
The path of fruitive activity, karma kanda, even when decorated by religious ceremonies, meant to elevate one's
Mataji, next
material.
paragraph. Mataji, sorry, next paragraph.
Oh, it's the next one. Oh, okay. The path of culture of knowledge, jnana marg, and of mystic powers, yoga marg, are equally hazardous. For one does not know where one will go by following these uncertain methods. An empiric philosopher in search of spiritual knowledge may endeavor most laboriously many births and in mental speculation, but unless and until he reaches the stage of the purest quality of goodness, in the other words, until he transcends the plane of material speculation, it is not possible for him to know that everything emanates from the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. His attachment to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord makes him unfit to rise to that transcendental stage of Vasudeva understanding, and therefore, because of his unclean state of mind, he glides down again into material existence, even after having ascended to the highest stage of liberation. This fall down takes place due to his want of the focus sandhi in service of the Supreme Lord, of service in the.
Sorry?
Is locus standing? Is it standing?
No, standai.
Standai. What does standai mean? Locus standi in the service of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, so basically, locus standi means where you stand in terms of your own position.
Thank you.
So the real position is the service of the Lord. When it's not there, the fall down happens. That's what the last sentence means. Excuse me. So again, as like we talked about Karma Kanda, the Gyan Marg and Yog Marg are equally, if not more hazardous, because you work very hard for many, many births, but the highest you achieve is the merging in the Brahmani effulgence. These people have, because they're so attached to the impersonal feature of the Lord, they have no understanding that the effulgence is actually coming from the body of the Lord. And the Lord has a body. Lord is a person. They don't get any of that. And that's why in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 19, Lord Krishna says, Bahunam janam namante jnanavan mahaprabhute. After many, many, many births, so one rare jnani comes to the understanding that no, actually there is a Vasudeva, a Supreme Personality of Godhead with a body and personality and person. And Vasudeva Savramiti Mahatma Sudurva. Very, very rare for somebody to get to that point where they understand Vasudeva Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is why there's no service in their position, in their situation. And therefore, after some time, they fall down again to the material world. Having been in the spiritual world of Brahman effulgence for a while, this will come down. Okay, next paragraph, please.
Will I read, Prabhu?
Please go ahead.
As far as the mystic powers of the yogis are concerned, they are also material entanglements on the path of spiritual realization. One German scholar who became a devotee of Godhead in India said that material science had already made laudable progress in duplicating the mystic powers of the yogis. He therefore came to India not to learn the methods of the yogis' mystic power, but to learn the path of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord. As mentioned in great scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, mystic powers can make a yogi materially powerful and thus give temporary relief from the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease, as other material sciences can also do, but such mystic powers can never be a permanent source of relief from these miseries. Therefore, according to the Bhagavata school, this path of religiosity is also a method of cheating its followers. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly defined that the most elevated and powerful mystic yogi is one who can constantly think of the Supreme Lord within his heart and engage in the loving service of the Lord.
Right. So once again, just like the Karma Kand, Gyan Kand, Yog Kand, same thing. You're achieving some material siddhis, but you're not solving the real problem of getting out of this material world. And yogis can also end up in the Brahman effulgence. That's true. But once again, it's the same issue. If they consider the siddhi to be mystic powers, they're all material, and therefore it does not get them out of birth, death, old age, and disease. And a point being made here is that some of these things, like the extension of the age span, getting rid of the disease, material science can also do that. But again, it's all temporary. Sooner or later, it will happen. The death will come. Sooner or later, one will get old, no matter how much the material science advances. Same thing, the yogis, eventually they die too. And therefore, and they come back to the material world. So it's not done anything. So therefore, once again, the path of yoga kand is also process of cheating the ones who are following that process. And therefore, as per Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, text 47, yogi nama api sarvesham madgatena taratmana. Siddhaman bhajate yomam samejita tamomata. The yogi who's actually thinking of Krishna all the time in his heart is the one, and engaging in the service of the Lord is the topmost yogi. And that's the one we want to talk about in a minute. Gayatri, you have a question. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everybody. Actually, when I was listening to this, I got really confused because we were talking about Karma Kand, and I was thinking about like Karma Yoga from chapter 6 of the Gita, and like they're not the same thing, right?
So
Because
Karma Yoga in chapter 3.
sorry, chapter 3, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, like, because Krishna, like, if you're doing Karma Yoga as per like what the Gita says, then you can, you know, achieve liberation and, you know, come to the path of bhakti, but not through karma kanda, right? Because the intent is different for the person who's practicing. Is that right?
So Karma Kand is a person who wants material results out of their activities. So I want to become a demigod. I want to come back as a very rich, famous, powerful person. Those are the things they're looking for. Is that clear or no?
Yeah, but sorry, but I guess the karma yoga that's mentioned in the Gita.
So Karma Kand, Karma Yoga, not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, okay, that's where I was getting confused between the two of them.
Karma Yoga, Krishna talks about where you offer the results of your karma to Krishna. That's not Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is where you want to enjoy the results of your activities. Does that make it more clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, next paragraph, somebody. Okay.
Can I do it, Prabhu?
Of course you can.
The path, sorry.
Yeah,
None of
no, the path of worship, yeah.
the path of worship of the innumerable devas or in administrative demigods is still more hazardous and uncertain than the above mentioned processes of the Karma Kand and Gyan Kand. This system of worshipping many gods such as Durga, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, and impersonal Vishnu form is accepted by persons who have been blinded by an intense desire for sense gratification. When properly executed in terms of the rites mentioned in the Shastras, which are now very difficult to perform in this age of want and scarcity, such worship can certainly fulfill one's desires for sense gratification. But the success obtained by such method is certainly transient, and it is suitable only for less intelligent person. That is the verdict of Bhagavad Gita. No sane man should be satisfied by such temporary benefits.
Yeah. So you may recall in chapter 7, text 23, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those who are worshipping demigods, says, Antavantu phalam tesha tad bhavati alpamedisha. Devan devayajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. He's saying that those people who are serving the demigods, whatever results they get, they're temporary. But these are alpamedha, means they are not very intelligent. Actually, Prabhupada used a term, उनके दिमाग में गोबर भरा है, which means their brain is full of cow dung, means it's not intelligent at all. So really, Krishna really condemns demigod worship, and that's basically the point being made here. Because demigods cannot give you anything temporary, permanent. Whatever they give you is temporary. Okay, next paragraph, please.
Prabhu, can I ask a question, please?
Only if you like.
Okay, Prabhuji. So basically, I wanted to, so in this, but many a times, what happens is that I know certain sects like of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya and other Vaishnava Sampradaya, that they sometimes do worship, like, Surya Narayan, they worship Devi Durga occasionally on the events, and they ask Devi Durga, like, for example, I know a lot of Sri Vaishnava who would say that we worship Bhagavati to get the Shakti and potency to do our sadhana towards Vishnu. And then they say that we offer Arghya to Surya Narayan to get the knowledge and wisdom by which we can worship Vishnu. So what about such sort of people that who are asking demigods to give them certain things to be used in the service of Lord Vishnu?
Yeah. So that is fine. That is not our sampradaya.
Yes.
In our sampradaya, we are saying, why not just ask Krishna directly? Why not ask the devotees of Krishna? Why do you have to go to somebody else? If they want to do it, that's fine. But if the motivation is to ultimately serve Krishna, then that's fine. Okay? I don't know what silence means. No, you don't agree, or silence means that's fine.
No, Prabhuji, I agree.
Okay, all right. any feedbacks? Because I can't see anybody now. Okay, all right.
No. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Okay, next paragraph.
I can read Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Mataji.
Hare
Go ahead,
Krishna,
Prabhuji, go
Pitashri.
ahead.
Hare Krishna, Pitashri.
Hare Krishna, Nandimukhi, go ahead.
Pitashri, it's very, very good answer, really.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pitashri.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So you want
Okay,
to
I'll
read?
read Prabhuji.
Okay,
Yeah.
Prabhu, go ahead.
Any process of religiosity based on the sense gratification, gross or subtle, must be considered a pretentious religion because it is unable to give perpetual protection to its followers. The word projit is significant. Pra means complete and ujita indicates rejection. Religiosity in the shape of fruitive work is directly a method of gross sense gratification, whereas the process of culturing spiritual knowledge with a view to becoming one with the absolute is a method of subtle sense gratification. All such a pretentious religiosity based on gross or subtle sense gratification is completely rejected in the process of Bhagavad Dharma, or the transcendental religion, which that is the eternal function of living being. Thank
Right.
you, Prabhuji.
Right, thank you. So basically, bottom line of this paragraph is if you're doing whatever it is you're doing is for your sense gratification, gross or subtle. Gross being property, money, fame, etc. Subtle being merging in the Brahman effulgence. But it's still sense gratification. As long as any religiosity is based on sense gratification, it's a cheating religion. Why? Because cheating you out of the real thing, which is getting out of this material world and being able to serve Lord Krishna in a loving devotional mood. So the real religion is bringing you to a point of loving Krishna. Cheating religion is anything based on sense gratification. And therefore it's being saying, Dharma projit katava. So katava is a cheating religion, but projit means completely rejected. So Srimad Bhagavatam completely rejects any kind of religion that's based on sense gratification. It only talks about Krishna's sense gratification, not ours. Okay. Next paragraph, please.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Bhagavad Dharma, or the religious principle described in Srimad Bhagavatam, of which the Bhagavad Gita is a preliminary study, is meant for liberated persons of the highest order, who attribute very little value to the sense gratification of pretentious religiosity. The first and foremost concern of fruitive workers, elevationists, empiric philosophers, and salvationists is to raise their material position. But devotees of Godhead have no such selfish desires. They serve the Supreme Lord only for His satisfaction. Sri Arjuna, wanting to satisfy his senses by becoming a so-called non-violent and pious man, at first decided not to fight. But when he was fully situated in the principles of Bhagavad Dharma, culminating in complete surrender unto the will of the Supreme Lord, he changed his decision and agreed to fight for the satisfaction of the Lord. He then said, Nashta moha smritirlabdha tvatprasadana maya achyuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Bhagavad Gita 18:73. It is the constitutional position of the living entity to be situated in this pure consciousness. Any so-called religious process that interferes with this unadulterated spiritual position of the living being must therefore be considered a pretentious process of religiosity.
Thank you, bro. So again, same point being repeated, that Srimad Bhagavatam is for those people who are interested in satisfying the senses of Krishna, and not for people who are simply interested in their own sense gratification. And again, contrasting the two things, it is saying that any religiosity that is based on sense gratification of our own is cheating religion, and the real religion is one one in which we endeavor to satisfy the senses of Krishna. In other words, making Krishna happy. And the example of Arjuna is given. First, he was thinking about himself, declaring himself to be non-violent and pious man. But once he understood the principle of Bhagavad Dharma, he accepted the fact that he will do whatever instructions he receives from Krishna, which means he's totally surrendered to him. And that is what real religion is, total surrender in the mood of loving devotional service. Okay, next paragraph, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanbad Pranam. Can I read?
Please, of course, go ahead.
The real form of religion is spontaneous loving service to Godhead. This relationship of the living being with the absolute personality of Godhead in service is eternal. The personality of Godhead is described as Vastu, or the substance, and the living entities are described as Vastavas, or the innumerable samples of the substance in relative existence. The relationship of these substantive portions with the supreme substance can never be annihilated, for it is an eternal quality inherent in the living being.
Yeah. So again, point being re-emphasized is that the real religion is what's teaching us to spontaneously love Krishna or serve Krishna in a loving mode. And that relationship of us serving Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna is our eternal relationship. And it is inherent in us. It's just that we've forgotten. It has been buried under all sorts of material desires and things like that. And the real religion removes that dirt or contamination, whatever word you want to use, from our heart, that rekindles the love in our heart for Krishna and allows us to spontaneously love him and serve him in that loving mode. Okay. Final paragraph, please go ahead.
I can read.
Please go ahead.
By contact with material nature, the living entities exhibit varied symptoms of the disease of material consciousness. To cure this material disease is the supreme object of human life. The process that treats this disease is called Bhagavad Dharma, or Sanatan Dharma, real religion. This is described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who, because of his background of pious activities in previous lives, is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam immediately, realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord within his heart, and fulfills the mission of his life.
Right. So, point here being made is that in order for anybody to become interested, actually the word being used here is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, is that they must have earned Sukritis. And without that, it doesn't start. So those of us who are lucky enough to have had that, they may become anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And once we do that from a pure devotee, we are able to realize the presence of the Lord within our heart, which allows us to fulfill the mission of the life, which is to get rid of the material disease we have and therefore get out of the material world into the abode of Lord Krishna, where we can eternally serve him in a loving attitude. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and let's see if there are any questions or comments. This is long purport. No? Okay.
I have a comment, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Gayatri.
I feel like it's like we're trying to practice, like I'm talking about myself, of course, that I'm trying to practice Krishna consciousness, but listening to this report and reading, and it feels like, it's a cheating religion, because what we do, at least what I do, is there's always a sense gratification. There's always something pertaining to, what is easy today. You're making prasad. What is easy to do today because you have to get to work. You have to go to work. You have to, like, it seems like it's all related to the body. You have Krishna there, but like you're not doing things for Krishna or to satisfy his senses. You're doing almost sometimes what has to be done, like maturely.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that because we're living in the material world, because we have a family, we have obligations, we have to do things that are in the category of mundane work. And there's no way out of it. Anything else would be not practical, because not everybody can simply get up and leave the home and family and go to the forest, live in Vrindavan. Can't do that. So Krishna says, I know that. And therefore, in chapter 8, text 7, he answers your question. What does he say? He says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manuspar yuddhaja mai arpita mano buddhi mave vyashasi asanshya. He's saying that therefore, at all times, as you're battling Maya, which is what basically all of us are doing, remember me. Do that, remembering me. Surrender your mind and intelligence to me, and I guarantee you that you will come to me. So nowhere does he say, give up everything. Actually, Arjun wanted to give up. He said, no, you're a fool. Don't do that. But do it surrendering to me and constantly depending upon me, thinking about me. So in our mundane world, when we have a job, we have a family, we have to be thinking about Krishna all the time. And how do we do that? Very simple. If we have an attitude that my education that got this job is the mercy of Krishna, the job that I've got is mercy of Krishna, is a plan of Krishna for me that I'm executing. Whatever results I get will be the mercy of Krishna. Whatever else happens is the mercy of Krishna. All is happening by the will of Krishna. I'm simply an instrument executing his will. And I accept all results. Then you're still doing exactly the same thing. But your mind and consciousness is different. You have surrendered that to Krishna. Right? Another example would be, you have a house. You can say it's my house. Or you can have a deities in your house and say, this is the deity's house. So, for example, I say, where I'm living is Radha Govindji's house. I'm a renter. So now, if I clean the house, I'm cleaning the temple. If I cook for Krishna, cook in the house, I'm cooking for Krishna. When I eat it, I'm eating prasadam. If I raise my children as Krishna conscious children, when I pay their bills, when I buy them clothes, when I clean them up or whatever, I'm serving devotees. The whole mood changes. Activities are still the same. And that's what we have to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Babaji.
You're welcome.
Prabhuji, one thing I would like to add on to it. This is we talked about the consciousness, that you always think of Krishna and you're doing everything keeping in mind that the kids belong to Krishna, the house belongs to Krishna. But it's just a little doubt in my mind. He says, remember me all the time, like every moment. So sometimes I wonder, when you go to job and I initially say that I offer everything to you, whatever I do in the day, during the day. But in the middle of the day, I completely forget Krishna.
Yeah.
Howsoever I try to remember him.
So let me ask you a question. Imagine you're witnessing Arjun battling in the battle of Kurukshetra.
Yes.
As he's throwing his arrows, he's chanting mantras, because in those days, the power in the arrows came from the mantras. As chanting those mantras, he's saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare? No, he's not. Is he?
Yeah, that's my question is.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that is exactly my question. Is he's saying, remember me?
No. So let me finish, Mother. You haven't finished my answer yet. So Krishna, Arjuna is not chanting Hare Krishna. He's chanting the mantra required to shoot that arrow. Arjuna is looking around. Who's coming to attack him? Arjuna is looking around. What else is going on? He's not thinking Krishna at that moment. But he's thinking Krishna all the time, knowing that I'm doing this because Krishna wants me to do this. And that's the thing. So thinking of him all the time doesn't mean chanting Hare Krishna as you are trying to do assignment. You can't be chanting Hare Krishna if you're making a presentation to an audience. But you're going to be making the presentation thinking, Krishna wants me to do this. Krishna, I depend upon you for the success or failure of this presentation. How I'm received, that's your mercy. Then you're thinking of Krishna. Otherwise, you cannot function.
Yes, otherwise we cannot function. That was coming to my mind.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Krishna answered this question of mine through you. I was thinking about this question in the afternoon while driving because I was getting distracted while driving also.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. No problem. Okay, should we move to next text 92? Let me share the screen again. Okay. तार मध्य मोक्षवांछा कैतव प्रधान जहा होते कृष्ण भक्ति होय अंतर्धान. By the way, this is a very, very powerful verse, and I'll ask you to memorize this one and keep repeating it to yourself for the rest of your life. Okay, it means the foremost process of cheating is to desire to achieve liberation by merging into the Supreme. For this causes the permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna. We've been discussing this point for many, many weeks in different flavors. But once again, it's here saying, if you desire to merge in the Brahman effulgence, there's no service of Krishna. And the service to Krishna completely disappears. And it's like the subtlest type of atheism. Because disguised in the dress of liberation, you're basically saying, I don't want to serve Krishna. I don't want to traverse on the path of devotional service. That means atheist. Okay? 93.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I'm Nanda Kumar.
What?
So in the previous shloka, I think there was the same comment about once whoever goes to Brahman effulgence will not be able to get that path of loving Krishna, but then they will come back to the material world, right?
They may come back, yes.
Oh, okay. They may come back. It is not like
they're not forced to come
back.
They're not forced to come back, but they may come back. Many do because it's so boring there.
Oh, okay. 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 So actually, I mean, I was thinking these two are conflicting, because here it says it causes the permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna, but then in the previous shloka it said you may come back again, right?
Sorry, Prabhu, say it again. You.
I mean, in the previous.
Can't hear you, Prabhu. Nand Kumar Prabhu, for whatever reason, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, please start. We did not hear anything you said.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So these two, I mean, this shloka and the previous one was conflicting is what I'm thinking.
How? Tell me how is the conflict? Where is the conflict?
Here it says the causes of the cause for this causes the permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna?
Desire to merge in the Brahman effulgence causes
Yeah.
permanent disappearance of loving service to Krishna. Yes.
Correct. But in the previous one, it said, once you go to, once you are in Brahman effulgence, you may come back.
So first of all, did not say it in the previous verse, but anyway, so how's that conflict?
Because this is not permanent disappearance, right?
Okay. I still don't understand why is it not permanent. As long as you merge, if your only desire is to achieve liberation by merging the supreme effulgence, then there's no service. As long as you stay there, there's no loving service to Krishna. If you do come down to the material world, you may get mercy of a devotee and become a devotee of Krishna. That's possible. So your point is that if that happens, it's not permanent, then that's correct. But here, permanent is being used in different contexts, which is you stay there, permanently is gone.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. If you come back, you may get devotee's mercy and you may decide to become Krishna's devotee. That is correct.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mean permanent, that's okay. I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. So you may come back and you may
get mercy of a devotee.
Yeah, correct.
And you may decide to take up Krishna consciousness. That is correct.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure, no problem. Okay. So the prefix pra in the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam indicates the desire for liberation is completely rejected. So we already discussed that. So we're going to move on. Okay, 94. Krishna Bhakti Badhak Jat Shubha Shubh Karm.
93, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
93, brother.
93.
Oh, 93. I just did that, didn't I?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, hold on.
93.
Hold on.
You just did it, Prabhu.
I just did it. Prabhu, I just finished it.
No.
Yes, Prabhuji just finished.
It's a one-liner, I think.
Yes, it's one line. I finished it. Or you want to do this again? I can do it again. Prashabdena moksha bhi siddhi rupi nirantar iti. Nirastha iti. Okay? And I said that we already discussed this in the previous verse. So it's the same point. If you have a question, you can ask me.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Translation. All kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, that are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental loving service to the Lord, to Lord Krishna, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. So it is your ignorance that causes you to get involved in auspicious or inauspicious activities, which are detrimental to the performance of devotional service. Purport. Somebody wants to read the purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
The poetical comparison of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to the sun and moon is very significant. The living entities are spiritual sparks, and their constitutional position is to render devotional service to the Supreme Lord in full Krishna consciousness. So-called pious activities and other ritualistic performances, pious or impious, as well as the desire to escape from material existence, are all considered to be covering of these spiritual sparks. The living entities must get free from these superfluous coverings and full engage in Krishna consciousness. The purpose of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda is to dispel the darkness of the soul. Before their appearance, all these superfluous activities of the living entities were covering Krishna consciousness. But after the appearance of these two brother peoples, hearts are becoming cleansed and they are again becoming situated in the real position of Krishna consciousness.
Right. So once again, a point is being made that Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, they actually cover the cause darkness that covers the spark that we are. We are basically tiny little sparks of Krishna, Mame Vansho Jivaloke. And that spark, which has the love of Krishna in our heart, is covered by material desires and the desire to merge in the Brahmani effulgence, which is the most dangerous one. And therefore, we're not able to fully engage in Krishna consciousness. And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have appeared in this material world. They're being compared to the appearance of sun and moon, which basically removes the darkness and gives the light. Similarly, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are giving us light that removes the covering of Krishna consciousness from our heart and gets us to, again, gets us to the real position of Krishna consciousness where we're able to love Krishna from our heart. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Jahar prasade ei tamohoy nash, tamonash kari kare tatver prakash. Now getting real juice here. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, the darkness of ignorance is removed and the truth is brought to light. So once again, ignorance is that we are this body. The light is, no, we're not this body, we are eternal servant of Krishna. So by the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, that darkness, that we are this body is removed, and that we are eternal servants of Krishna is brought to light. And we'll discuss this more in the next few verses. 96. Tattva Vastu Krishna, Krishna Bhakti Prem Roop, Nam Sankirtan Sarva Anand Swarup. The absolute truth is Krishna. And loving devotion to Krishna, Shri Krishna, exhibited in pure love, is achieved through congregational chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all bliss. So now, talking about the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which was to start the congregational chanting of the holy name. And it's the chanting of that holy name gives us, is actually the essence of all bliss. There's so many different types of bliss, but the bliss that we receive in loving Krishna is the essence of all other types of bliss. And therefore, that is the highest in terms of our ability to feel the bliss. You may recall a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6. Savai punsam paro dharmo, jito bhakti yadokshaja, hayatki apritihata yajatma suprishati. So saying that only when we perform uninterrupted and unmotivated service to Lord Krishna that we actually feel happy. And that's what's being talked about here. That only when we are able to perform loving devotion to Lord Krishna that we are able to feel the real bliss. You may also recall from Nectar of Devotion classes that pure devotional service gives more bliss than anything you can get from merging in the Brahman effulgence, anything Brahmagyan, or any other kind of material happiness. There's no comparison between the bliss received from performance of devotional service, pure devotional service, than any other bliss received from any other means or form. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. 97. Surya Chandra Bahire Tamha se Vinashe, Bahir Vastu Ghatapat Adi se Prakashe. The sun and moon dissipate the darkness of the external world, thus reveal external material objects like pots and plates. So, again, same point. The sun and the moon remove the darkness. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have appeared here to remove the darkness from inside of our heart. Dui bhai hridayer chhari adhakar, dui bhag vat sange karan sakshatkar. But these two brothers, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, dissipate the darkness of the inner core of the heart. And thus, they help one meet the two kinds of Bhagavatas: person or things in relationship with the personality of Godhead. So once again, like the sun and the moon, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are dissipating the heart, so darkness of the heart, and therefore allow us to understand and quote unquote meet the devotees, or Srimad Bhagavatam, or any scripture in support of that. 99. एक भागवत बड़ भागवत शास्त्र, आर भागवत भक्त भक्ति रसपात. So one of the two Bhagavatas is mentioned in the previous verse, now explaining that one Bhagavat is the great scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is a pure devotee absorbed in the mellows of loving devotion. So a pure devotee performing loving service to the Lord, and Srimad Bhagavatam are the two Bhagavatas. And the congregational chanting introduces us to these both. Dui Bhagavata dwara diya bhakti ras, tahar hridaye tar preme hoye vash. Through the actions of these two Bhagavatas, the book and the person, the Lord instills the mellows of transcendental loving service into the heart of a living being. This is what we've been saying in the last few verses, that the contact with, so submissively, attentively, willingly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, or the association of pure devotees, instills the love of Krishna in our heart. And once the love of Krishna is instilled in our heart, the devotee comes, the Lord comes under the control of devotee's love. So, Tomar Hridaya Sada Govind Vishram. Govind Kahena Mam Vaishnav Parat. So, the Lord resides in the heart of the devotees, and Sadhuvir Grastra Hridaya Bhakta Bhakt Jadai Priya. Lord Vishnu is telling Durvasa Muni that I'm actually fully controlled by my pure devotee. I'm captured in their heart like a bird in a cage. I have no freedom. Aham Bhakta Paradhino. Hi Aswatantra Ivduja. I am totally under the control of my devotees. I have no freedom. So Bhagavatam may say in 1.1.1, Abhigya Swarat is totally independent, but Krishna is saying, no, I'm not. I'm totally controlled. And we know by for Radharani, she has 25 qualities. The 25th quality is that she completely controls Krishna. So here the point is being made that when the love of Krishna is kindled in the heart, Krishna comes under the control of that devotee. Any questions on that? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
I
Krishna.
have a question. So, how does a devotee control the Lord? How do you control the Lord, Krishna?
Well, I am not pure devotee, so it doesn't apply. But answer to your question is not that the devotee tries to control. The devotee doesn't do anything but serve Krishna in full surrender, in a loving mood. But Krishna chooses to come under the control of the devotee. Do you see the difference?
Krishna chooses. Yeah. Krishna chooses, but how?
I'm sorry?
What is the example? How does he choose to come?
Well, so for example, Draupadi says, Krishna, come help me. He comes and supplies millions of meters of cloth.
Yeah.
Radharani says, Krishna, I'm not talking to you. And Krishna says, no, please talk to me. And she says, no. So he puts his head on her lotus feet and says, please forgive me. And cries and cries and cries. Right? Prahlad Maharaj says, no, you got to come. He says, okay, I'll come as Lord Nrsimha, because those are the conditions. So many examples.
In the real life,
Gopi said, dance, otherwise no butter for you. He said, okay, I'll dance. Sorry, go ahead.
do we have any real life example?
These are all real life examples. What are you talking about?
These are the transcendental, like the
What do you mean transcendental? They are all real life examples. Happen here.
Which
Yes,
is Sanatan Goswami and Madan Mohan example.
Yeah, that's another example, yeah. So Sanatan Goswami was serving Madan Mohanji, and Madan Mohanji said, hey, I'm eating dry chapatis. I don't want that anymore. And he said, well, today you're asking for, he said, just give me some salt. And he said, today you're asking for salt, tomorrow you ask for butter. Where am I going to get the butter from? So I'm not going to give you anything unless you do something. And Krishna made all the arrangement for that tradesperson to come. His boat got stuck, and the whole story about how he gave so much money to build the temple. So many, many examples.
Yeah, Bilvamangal Thakur, brother.
Bilvamangal Thakur is another example. right? So there's no dearth of examples. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I mean, Mother Yashoda bound him with a rope.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 101. एक अद्भुत सम काले दोहार प्रकाश आर अद्भुत चित्त चित्त गुहार तमह करे नाश. Okay. The first wonder is that both brothers appear simultaneously, and the other is that they illuminate the innermost depths of the heart. So it's wonderful because they compare with sun and moon, and as you know that sun and moon don't appear simultaneously. And the other is, but they did, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda did. Other is that the sun and the moon illuminate external, whereas Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya are illuminating the innermost depths of the heart. So that's the two wonderful things. Ei chand suryadoi paramo sadai jagat tere bhagya gole karila uday. These two, the sun and moon, are very kind to the people of the world. Thus, for the good fortune of all, they have appeared on the horizon of Bengal. Somebody wants to read the purport?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, you already did two. Let somebody else do it.
I can do, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
The celebrated ancient capital of the Sena dynasty, which was known as Gauda Desha or Gauda, was situated in what is now the modern district of Maldah. Later, this capital was transformed to the ninth or central island of the western side of the Ganges at Navadip, which is now known as Mayapur and was then called Gaudapura. Lord Chaitanya appeared there and Lord Nityananda came there and joined him from the district of Birbhum. They appeared on the horizon of God Desh and spread the signs of Krishna consciousness, and it is predicted that as the sun and the moon gradually move west, the moment they began 500 years ago will come to the Western civilization by their mercy.
Okay, so we know that happened.
How sweet is that?
That's right. So we know that happened by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who came here by the mercy of his own Guru, who came here by the mercy of the Lord. Okay, next paragraph, please.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu drive away from 5 kinds of ignorance of the conditioned soul. In the Mahabharata, Udaya Yoga Parva, 34th chapter, these 5 kinds of ignorance were described. They are accepting the body to be the self, making material sense gratification one's standard of enjoyment, being anxious due to material identification, lamenting and thinking that there is anything beyond the absolute truth. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya eradicate these 5 kinds of ignorances. Whatever one sees or otherwise experience, one should know to be simply an exhibition of Supreme Personality of Godhead's energy. Everything is the manifestation of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, going with the bottom 2 lines first, whatever one sees or otherwise experiences, one should know to be simply an exhibition of the Supreme Personality of God's energy. So that is the symptom of a Mahabhagavata, a pure devotee. Thawar jangam dekhe na dekhe tar murti, sarvatra hoye tare ishta dev spurti. That's Chaitanya Charitamrita later on says the pure devotee sees Krishna in everything. By Krishna, it means Krishna's energy in everything. Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. Everything is creation of Krishna's energy. Everything is from Krishna. Everything is a manifestation of Krishna. So everything is Krishna. Don't confuse that with Mayavad. If I say table is Krishna, that's Mayavad. If I say Krishna is table, that's devotional service. Because when they say that, it is Krishna's energy. Okay. Now, it's also talking about 5 kinds of ignorance. First, accepting the body to be this. We are this body is ignorance. Making material sense gratification one standard of enjoyment. So, there's 2 types of enjoyment. One is called dependent enjoyment, That is called independent enjoyment. Now, because we are also Satchidanand, Anand means bliss or enjoyment, it is our nature to enjoy. So we cannot change that nature. So enjoying is not bad. But, as I said, the two types of enjoyment. One is called dependent enjoyment, one is independent enjoyment. Independent enjoyment is, I'll take care of my own sense gratification. And when my senses are gratified directly, then I'm happy. That is direct direct enjoyment, and that is bad. That is ignorance. However, there is, independent enjoyment. The second is dependent enjoyment. When I get pleasure from Krishna's pleasure, that's dependent enjoyment, and that is a good thing. In other words, I enjoy pleasing Krishna. It makes me happy to see Krishna happy. That is dependent enjoyment, because my enjoyment is coming from Krishna's enjoyment, and that is good thing. Okay. Third, being anxious due to material. So whenever you identify with material things, anxiety will be there, because you're either afraid of losing it or you're hankering to get it. Both ways there's anxiety. And so that's the third. Fourth is lamenting. When you lose something, you lament because you thought it was yours. Lamenting comes from a sense of proprietorship. Five, thinking that there is anything beyond the absolute. Thinking that there's anything that exists outside the domain of Lord Krishna is another darkness. There's no place. Everything. Matsthani sarvbhutani nameteshu sthita. So everything is residing or surviving or staying in the energy of Krishna. There's nothing beyond that. There's no jurisdiction which is outside the jurisdiction of Krishna. Thinking otherwise is darkness. Okay, any questions on this?
Yes, Prabhuji, I would like to say something.
Please go ahead.
Prabhuji, I just come to my mind, like what was predicted in the last text of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what it says, Nam Sankirtan Yasya Sarv Pap Paranashatam Paranamo Duksab Nashanam Tab Namami Hari Param. So what was predicted like by Srila Vyasdev 5,000 years ago, so this start happening after 5,000 years, which was the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, which what Vyasdev predicted 5,000 years before, it start happening after 5,000, which was done by His Grace Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his brother Nityananda Prabhuji.
Yes. Yes, thank you, bro.
So this was feeling like a requirement of that time. Like it was going to happen in the near future, but the near future start happening after 5,000 years after.
Correct.
Which they predict like it was going to happen, but 5,000 years for them was not really too far, you know.
Correct. Thank you, bro.
Okay, Prabhuji, that's all.
Thank you, bro. Okay, 103. Seidoi Prabhur Kari Charana Bandhan Jaha Hote Vignanash Abhishta Puran. Let us therefore worship the holy feet of these two lords, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Thus one can be rid of all difficulties on the path of self-realization. So remember, simply by remembering Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, all the difficulties, all the obstacles on the path of devotional service will be removed. There's another place in Chaitanya Charitamrita which says that if we can remember Lord Chaitanya first thing in the morning, then everything difficult becomes easy. And if we don't do that, then the easy things become difficult. So when we wake up, as soon as we wake up, before we leave the bed, let's meditate upon Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Okay? And it'll make all the obstacles in the path of devotional service go away. 104. Eidu shloke kail mangala bandhan titiya shloke arthashuna sarvajan. So I invoke the benediction of the Lords with these two verses, text 1 and 2 in this chapter. Now please hear attentively the purport of third verse. So if you go back to the beginning of the class, 6-7 weeks ago, we did the first two verses. And basically, so far we've been explaining the purport of those two verses. Now we're going to the third verse. 105. वक्तव्य बाहुल्य ग्रंथ विस्तारे रे डरे विस्तारे न वर्णि सारार्थ कही अल्पाक्षरे. I purposely avoid extensive description for fear of increasing the bulk of this book. I shall describe the essence as concisely as possible. So basically, Chaitanya is a big book. He didn't want to make it bigger, so he's going to explain this third verse very briefly. Mitam cha sarancha vachohi vagmita iti. Essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. That's even a quote that, this saying in Hindi, thoda kaha bahut samajhna. It basically means I'm saying it very concisely, but purport is pretty big. It's like Lord Krishna played the flute, vibrated that flute in the heart of Brahma very concisely. Then Lord Brahma explained it very concisely to Narad Muni, who explained it very concisely to Vyasadeva. But Vyasadeva wrote all these Vedas and Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam. But then even that is not enough. So Srila Prabhupada came and explained and wrote purports, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc., so people like us can understand. But the point is that in truth, the truth should be spoken concisely. That is the true eloquence. Because otherwise you get to the point where it says, Bahut kaha thoda samajhna. Some people, they talk for hours. And at the end of it, you don't know what they were saying. There's nothing there. There's no essence to their talk. So therefore, truth should be spoken concisely. And that is real eloquence. More words doesn't mean eloquence. 107. Shunile Khandibe chitter agyanadi dosh, Krishna gaadh prema hobe, paibe santosh. Simply hearing submissively will free one's heart from all the faults of ignorance. And thus one will achieve deep love for Krishna. This is the path of peace. So once again, we're talking about listening to the scriptures, but listening submissively and attentively. Submissively means without challenging. Don't ask questions for the sake of asking. Don't argue for the sake of arguing. Accept, but you can ask questions for elaboration or in support of the discussion that's going on for further clarity. This is what Arjuna and Krishna were doing in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, if we do that, then we can achieve deep love for Krishna. (108) and 109. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Advaita Mahatva Tar Bhakta Bhakti Naam Prema Vitasa Tattva Bhinna Bhinna Likhiyachi Kariya Vichar Shunile Janebe Sab Vastu Tattva Sar. If one patiently hears about the glories of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Nityananda Prabhu and Shri Advaita Prabhu and their devotees, devotional activities, names and fame, along with the mellows of their transcendental loving exchanges, one will learn the essence of the absolute truth. Therefore, I've described these in Chaitanya Charitamrita with logic and discrimination. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying that if you patiently hear the glories of, can you mute yourself, please? Patiently hear the glories of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Lord Advaita, and their devotees, their devotional activities, their names and fame, along with the mellows of their loving exchanges. Then we can learn the essence of the absolute truth, essence of Krishna. So basically, we're going back to Panch Tattva, and along with the names and fame, etc., the devotional activities, the devotional pastimes. If we read them properly, if we listen to them submissively, then we'll get the essence of the absolute truth. In other words, we need to hear Chaitanya Charitamrita with great degree of surrender, in a submissive mood, ask appropriate questions for the sake of elaboration and clarification, not for the sake of arguing or for the sake of asking, so our face can be on the video, then we'll be able to appreciate Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then we'll be able to understand the essence of Krishna, the absolute truth. And you'll notice that every chapter is ended in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj by this verse or something similar. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Jar Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishnadas. So Krishnadas is saying that I've taken shelter of praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are his Shiksha Gurus. And so he's offering his obeisances to them and saying, taking shelter at the lotus feet, I am narrating this Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is chapter 1. So we're going to pause, see if there are any questions, and then next week we'll start with chapter 2. Questions or comments?
Very interesting and very inspiring, Prabhuji.
Yes, it is, Prabhu. Thank you.
I thank you very much for giving us all those details, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for listening.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Nana.
Beautiful chapter, Prabhuji. I really like, we always heard these things like person Bhagavad, book Bhagavad, it's all given here now.
Yes.
It's making more sense.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I was wondering, when we talk about Vedas, because we were, very shortly talking about Vedas, so we were reading like Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. These are the 4 categories we lead when we read those.
4 Purusharth.
Purusharth, we call them.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Dharma, I understand. Arth, we understand. Kam is all about what?
Material desires.
Material desires.
Yes.
And some of the examples are?
I want more money. I want promotion.
So basically all the karma kand activities.
Pretty well, yes. But it's karma kand activities, but it could be, basically karma. Yes, fruitive activities. Correct.
Okay, and the last one is all about liberation.
But liberation of the kind that's merging in the Brahman effulgence. So moksha is merging in the Brahman effulgence.
Okay.
And that's why there was this verse that I asked you all to memorize. Tar Madhya, I myself forgot. Tar Madhya something Kaitav Pradhan, Jaha hote Krishna Bhakti hoye Antardhan. So we don't want that.
Okay. Makes sense. I was just trying to find the correlation between these 4 Purusharth, because they've been used quite often when we are talking about our Vedas. Is there something?
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like there's in Vedas, the different sections. There's Karma Kand section, there's Gyan Kand section, there's Upasana Kand section. So Karma Kand section is what we are talking about here. It's all about material results, promotion to the heavenly planets, becoming richer, famous, and all sorts of material things. And actually the question in our mind should be, why do the Vedas have that? I mean, they should go straight to Upasana Kand and talk about serving Krishna. Why is he talking about Karma Kand? Because as a result of it being there, many people justify their fruitive activities saying, well, it's in the Vedas. And it is. But they misunderstand the purpose. And Srimad Bhagavatam actually explains the purpose of Karma Kanda being in the Vedas. And the example is given, if you have a sick child and you want to give him medicine, but the medicine is very bitter, the child will not take it. So you take a candy, put the medicine inside the candy, and say to the child, hey, I got your favorite chocolate. Do you want it? He says, yeah. Then you give him the chocolate, he eats it. But in eating the chocolate, he also takes the medicine. So similarly, because many people are so sinful, so much into sense gratification, that they don't want to have anything to do with devotional service. Because what do you mean I have to please somebody else? I want it all for me. So they will not do Upasana Kand. They will not do devotional service. So in the guise of telling them, hey, you want to go to heavenly kingdom? Hey, you want to come back as a really famous, powerful person? They say, yeah. Okay, then you say, okay, take this karmakand thing. You do it because at least there will be some purification of the heart as you do that. And eventually there will be enough purification that you will somehow become interested. And by the mercy of the Lord, you may get association of a devotee, and that becomes a transformation. That's the purpose of karmakand section of the Vedas.
So that shloka was 92, probably.
Sorry, Prabhu?
That shloka was 92.
What shloka?
The one you said we should.
Yeah, tar madhya moksha.
Right.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Okay, any other?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like, what are the three sections that you quoted in the Vedas? Like, one is Upasana Kanda and
so Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and
okay.
Upasana Kanda.
Okay, so can you please give some details about Gyan Kanda as well?
Yeah, so same thing. Remember, we were talking about mental speculation. Krishna could be this, Krishna could be that, or absolute truth could be this, absolute could be that, and then you meditate, and you come up with an opinion. You heard the term Muni?
No. Yeah, correct. Okay, right? Yes, that's
so
right.
So what is a Muni? Muni is a person who does manan. What is manan? A person who does analysis, mental analysis. Now, in those days, ancient time, a Muni was not considered a real Muni if he did not establish a principle different from all other existing principles. In other words, Gemini came and established something. Then Kanad came, established something different. And then somebody else came and established something different. Because if they're not different, they'll say, oh, just a follower, then what's the big deal? And this is why we have ended up with so many sub-religions, so many sects, so many opinions, so many vada, things like that. It's because of that. So the point being that in Gyan Kand, it's these kind of people who are speculating and coming up with some different philosophies. But they're all talking about cessation from material activities, getting out of the material world because it's miserable, but not knowing the real God, they think Brahman effulgences everything. And that is Gyan Kand.
Okay.
And then Upasana Kand, you understand.
Yeah. So these are all not like steps, but then like altogether like three separate or three different like divisions.
Yeah. So there are three different divisions, but that could be also used as steps. So you may have heard the concept of yoga ladder when we were doing Gita classes. We talked about yoga ladder. So you move up if you decide. So from karmi to karma yoga to jnana yoga to dhyana yoga to bhakti yoga. Only if you decide. If you stay at one step, then that's how you were known as. So for example, if you choose to stop at the jnana yoga, then you become a jnani. You're known as a jnani. If you decide to stop at karma yogi, then you're karma yoga, then you're known as karma yogi. You decide to stop at karmi, then you're known as a karmi. But if you want, you can move up. The ladder is there. Your choice to move up or not.
But that decision is only taken by us, or like I think
us.
definitely
No,
only by us.
Ultimately, it's our decision. Krishna will not force you. He may inspire you. He may give instructions, but ultimately, it's your decision.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Okay. Anything else? It's 9:34 now. Okay. If there are no other questions, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhuji,
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Madhumati.
Prabhuji.
Pitashri, Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Nandimukhi.
Krishna, everyone.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
छोड़ने को मन नहीं करता, इतना बढ़िया आप करा दे।
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.